Hello guys, and today we are going to be talking about Autopilot and Takeoff in the Cessna Citation cj4 and some additional systems in the MFDs and PFDs that is actually quite fun to mess around with. So let's not waste any more time and let's get on with it. So, first thing first, before takeoff is you need to set up the autopilot. So you need to go to flight director. You need to make sure these two flight directors are on. And then go ahead and turn on the yaw damper. And then make sure your flaps are set and pitot heats, which are down here by the FMS, are set. And now let's set up the autopilot. So all you need to do is set your cruising altitude, which for us is going to be flight level 280. So, and the altitude for the altitude knob is indicated here, so you can check that out. So we're going to set that to 28,000 feet, or flight level 280. And then we're going to set our heading to the runway heading, which we will be taking off of, which that is going to be 220, since we're taking off runway 22, so we'll set it to 220. And that is indicated right here, and by this line. Now, let's go through some symbology and navigation really quick. Right here is, let's say you're about to turn on a waypoint. Let's say we're coming in on a loco. And our current heading, let's say this. Our current heading and coming on a loco is about 100. And basically, this is going to say 100 until you are about to turn to the next waypoint, which is Chimpi, and that will say about probably 070. So that basically says your upcoming heading. So if you're on VATSIM or something, you can call out your turning heading on Unicom. Now, let's go ahead and do our takeoff. Well, actually no, I forgot. Excuse me. We have to go through other systems in our autopilot. So, nav mode. That is gonna, let's say we're on heading mode. We are flying at 5,000 feet at a heading of 220. We've just taken off from runway 22. And we want to turn about a heading of 110. So we can try to get aligned with the flight path. Now, right here, it's going to show a line, which is right here, and it's the arrow is probably going to be pointed over here, and there's going to be a line right here. Like, line right here, and the arrow right here. Now, we want to wait till that line touches our wingtip. And then we're going to switch on nav mode, and it's going to basically, it'll be like me telling the autopilot, hey, you're going to be taking over on controlling the aircraft and making it stay on the flight path. So, I know it sounds confusing now, but once we get up in the air, you'll see what I'm talking about with this coordinator right here. So, one last thing on the autopilot. Vertical speed, that basically helps your airplane climb and such. Say we're at 5,000 feet and we want to climb up to 15,000. This is going to tell us, like right here, 1,000, 2,000, 4,000. This is going to tell us if this is right here at 1,000, it's going to say we're climbing at 1,000 feet per minute, 2,000 feet per minute, and 4,000 feet per minute. And then same as descending, if it's right here, it'll tell us we're descending at 1,000 feet per minute, 2,000 feet per minute, and 4,000 feet per minute. And let's set our barometric pressure before we do that. So barometric pressure is 3002. And yeah, we're about ready for takeoff. So we're going to do our final takeoff checks. So this will actually help with that. So if we click right here, this is part of the looking over some PFD systems. So if we look up here, which is called upper menu, we can scroll through some menus here. FMS text, checklist, and passenger brief. We'll start with FMS text. Now, FMS text, it basically will not work till you get up in the air because it's got to have an estimate of when you get to the next waypoint. So right now it's telling us Aloco is 14 nautical miles away, and right here it's going to say our ETE, estimated time, yeah, it's going to be representing our estimated time remaining. So let's say we're 10 nautical miles away, it might say 3003, so 3 minutes, and then it'll say the time in Zulu, which is our ETA. So, yeah. So that's the FMS text. Now let's go to the checklist. This is exactly what it says. It is a checklist. So you can go through here. Before starting engines, we are at before takeoff. Ice protection system, check. We'll go ahead and put on some anti-ice because it's pretty cold outside. And rudder bias system, I don't really know what that means yet. Flaps, or check. They're at half. Speed brakes, 0%. And trims. Set. And crew briefing, that's not applicable. And that's basically how the checklist works. It's exactly what it says. And you can check them off with left or just right click. You just right click right there and you can go through the whole menu, but we're not going to do that today. Passenger briefing. This is actually pretty cool. Now, this one I like to mess with. It's basically, if you're in an airliner, you hear a passenger briefing come up, like turbulence, let's hear that. But my desktop audio isn't on. So, basically what it does is it plays audio in the back of the cabin, and it's telling people to fasten their seatbelts and there's upcoming turbulence. And there's also takeoff long, takeoff short. Basically, if you're about to take off right now, you can do that. Or if you're going to hold short, then you can do that. Then landing, that's basically what it says. They're going to make a landing announcement. Turbulence, we just went over that. And seatbelt, that's passenger safety and seatbelt are kind of the same. They both tell to go back to your seats and put your seatbelt on. And oxygen mask deployment is basically that they acknowledge that the oxygen masks are deployed, basically for if you're simulating an emergency. And that's about it. I've never really touched this, but it's really just data. It's automatically there. So, it's just data. It tells you your PSI, pph, batteries, and stuff like that. We can go ahead and turn that off. Actually, no. We're going to leave it on FMS text for now so we can get our ETA and ETE. And yeah, I think we are all good for takeoff. Flaps are good, lights are good, pitot heat, anti-ice, electrical systems are good. Autopilot is actually set. We're good for takeoff, so we're going to look left, look right. We'll go and turn on our Takeoff. This basically shows traffic on your radar. It'll be probably a square showing if they're descending or climbing or such. So, yeah, let's go ahead and I'm sure you noticed this. This is not the current barometric pressure. I'm just using yesterday's barometric pressure. So this is probably the barometric pressure right here, 29987. I haven't really looked it up, but we don't have to worry about that right now. We're just taking off. Alright, so let's go and take off. Give a good look left. Give a good look right. And we can look on our MFD. As you can see, there's no traffic. We'll just pretend air traffic control has gave us the green light to take off. And I guess I forgot if I went over this in the last video. Down here is panel lighting. You can basically use that if you can't really see the text. And this is cabin lighting, so that provides some light on each side, and floodlights, which light up the whole cabin, or cockpit, as I should say. Alright, so we are ready for takeoff, and yeah, let's go and give it a go. Might have to put in some bright rudder there. And I usually lift off at 120 or 130, depending on how bad the wind is. And don't lift off too hard. The wind is pretty bad right now, so I'm going to lift off at 130. There's 130. Lift up. And stop using your rudders, and then press G as in golf to raise the gear. Go ahead and move up a little bit. Alright, so we have now taken off. We're going to go ahead and engage autopilot with this button. We're going to go ahead and press the heading mode and vertical speed mode. So we're going to be climbing at 2,500 feet per minute, as said right there. And as you can see, it is raining. And I forgot to reset it to 220, but it says we're turning to left heading 110. So, and as you can see here, FMS text is working. 14 nautical miles away, we got 3 minutes to a loco, and our estimated arrival time at a loco is 2044 Zulu. And that's your overspeed warning. It makes a bunch of beeping sounds if you're overspeeding. I just turned my desktop audio off because so y'all would hear me better. And we'll go over and move over to the flight path with this and that. So we're going to turn left heading 080 and align with the flight path, and we'll demonstrate nav mode. You can use nav mode on ILS approaches as well. So keep that in mind, but that's going to be for a different episode. And I forgot, you have to put your flaps up. Go and turn off landing lights, and yeah. So put your flaps up after takeoff. That's very important. And that's how you take off, but we are gonna align with the flight path so we can demonstrate nav mode. And 1/2 bank, it's basically exactly what it says. It banks not as much when it turns. So if you think it's turning a little bit too much, you can go ahead and turn that on, and it'll turn a little bit slowly. I guess if you're in rough weather, you can turn that on. And this is what I was talking about. So we have to wait till this line touches our wingtip right here. And then that's when I like to turn on nav mode. Because if you turn it on while it's way out here, your aircraft's going to bank all the way at a 90-degree angle, all the way to the other side right there. It's going to basically face east, all the way east. Alright, so it's touching the wingtip. We can go ahead and turn on nav mode, let it align with the flight path. I turned it on a little bit late, so like right as it touches the wingtip, turn it on. And there's some other things I would like to point out on the systems right here. If you press chart, basically if you have a Navigraph subscription, you can connect it to there. I actually forgot how to do that. I do have a Navigraph subscription, but I forgot how to do it. But I'll demonstrate it in another episode. I just don't use it because I have two screens, so I don't really need to use it, but it's just something nice that you can put in the aircraft. And as you can see, it's turning. Now we've broken through the clouds, so now you can see the aircraft turning. And yeah, that's how you take off and use the autopilot in working title cj4 in Microsoft Flight Sim. And once you reach your altitude, you're gonna hear an AI voice basically say altitude, like that, and they'll let you know that, hey, you've reached your cruising altitude or designated autopilot altitude, and then you can provide the special procedures in cruising. So that's how you do the autopilot and systems in the cj4 and Takeoff, and we'll see you later. See ya.